beautiful jellyfish, it's Tracy. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. I actually was not planning on filming today, but there were just some things that I just wanted to like talk about basically. And I mostly want to be talking about EDH stuff in this video with the new rules changes. And like, if you watch EDH, which is why I'm like assuming you're watching this video, there's just like a couple of new things that basically happened. So two things happened. One, Prophet of Crufix got banned, and basically why? Because a lot of people are like, well, you theoretically take a bunch of extra turns with it, so we'll talk about that. And the other thing that happened is the mulligan rule. And I may or may not talk about Modern in this video. If I'm like talking for like 5 ever about this, I won't talk about Modern. I haven't decided yet. More things about Splinter Twin and Amulet getting banned. So let's first start talking about Prophet. Now, here's the deal, is I was a person who ran Prophet. I had, in all the EDH decks that I have right now, only one of my decks called for those colors. So naturally, I have a Tasker EDH deck. I was running Prophet. It fit the colors. It's a really good card. It's not super, super crazy expensive either. Theoretically, it's just a card that if you're running those colors in EDH, you typically would run this card. And, whenever I would play this card, and whenever other people played this card, it was like a cause of annoyance. If people were like, oh, Prophet's on the field right now, what do I do? Whatever. And my whole thing is, and my reasons for running it, for it not being as annoying, is that in my Tasker EDH deck, I have at this moment, I would classify 5 control cards in the deck. And when I say control cards, I'm talking about counter spells and bounce spells. I run 4 counter spells, I believe, and I run Cyclonic Rift. So, in my opinion, having a Prophet on that deck, my deck is very creature-based. I think I run like 40 creatures in that deck. So, like, theoretically, like, in my opinion, it wasn't that bad in my version of the deck. However, a lot of people who run Prophet run a lot of counter spells. They're running a lot of, like, ways where they'll run that, and it's like, you have Prophet out and you try to kill it, they're gonna counter it because they run so many counter spells, or whatever. So, like, when I played Prophet and people got mad, I was like, I understood it, but I didn't understand why people got that mad about it. And then, again, I started to see that the reason why is Tasker's, like, a pretty, like, popular commander, and, like, I don't pay attention to competitive EDH decks because I don't play competitive EDH, and I'm gonna, like, talk about that in a little bit, but, like, I was, like, I didn't really understand when people got that upset at me, but then I realized it was because of those people who also run Prophet with Deadeye. And in my opinion, I think Deadeye is a worse problem. Like, I've been shut out of the game so much where someone just plays that, and I just don't play Magic. And I'm just like, and Prophet, the reason why it's banned is because you have all these stupid combos with that. And this is kind of like a segue into, like, my other point, but, like, that I want to make is that, like, I play casual EDH. I really don't like playing EDH at my local game store because the people there play competitively. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to play competitive EDH, you can do that, and that's totally fine. However, I don't like playing competitive EDH. I play competitive Modern, and for me that's enough competitive Magic. I potentially make it into Standard, and potentially in the near future I make it into Legacy. However, at this moment I only play Modern competitively, and the reason why I play EDH is because it's a format that I can play where I'm not really thinking too much about, like, okay, I gotta win, I gotta do what, like, I mean, yeah, of course, like, you know, you'll play to win, you'll play to have fun, but, like, I view it as more of, like, I'm doing this activity with friends, and I'm having a really good time doing it. So, when I step into a place and they're like, let's play EDH and let's kill you on turn 5, I don't think that's fun. I'm sorry, if you want to do that, that's fine, but I don't want to play with you. And, like, it's, like, again, I'm not making it sound like it's a problem, but it's not something that I want to do. So, I don't know, I was, like, talking to someone once and they were like, either don't play with those people or make your deck better, and I don't want to make my deck more competitive. I don't want to spend I don't want to spend more money on it, and I don't want to, like, make it like it's so good where it does stupid things like that. So, I know that was, like, a segue into, like, Prophet, and away from Prophet, but I think that was all I wanted to say about it for now. So, that's that. And then this is, like, okay, so now we're going to talk about, the mulligan rule, and this goes into, like, the point that I was just making. So basically the new mulligan rule, what happened is, the first thing in EDH, the mulligan rule in EDH was kind of interesting, where basically it was called a partial mulligan, where what you would do is you would draw your 7 cards, and you'd look at it and you'd be like, actually, I don't want these 4 cards. What you do is you take those 4 cards and you would put them down and you would draw 4 new cards. You look at your hand and say, okay, cool, I'm happy with this. Or if you weren't, I'm trying to think what would happen after that, you would pitch away, I don't remember, oh, I think you would pitch the whole thing and then you would draw 6. I think that's how it would work. I never got to the point where I would do that, but like, so yeah, that was that. Sorry, there's magic cards and they're distracting me. So that was the mulligan rule, and I liked it. I thought it was great. I thought it was fair. I had some people got a little bit like too mulligan friendly with it, where they were all like, oh, it's casual EDH, and they would just like, I'm gonna mulligan like 5 times. The only ever time I would do that, like say I draw my 7, I don't like a couple, and then I draw, and then like sometimes I'll say, okay, I don't like this 7, I'm gonna shuffle the whole thing and draw a new 7. I'm fine with that if someone does it once. If people do it like 5 times, I'm like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, the only time I ever do that, though, is if, like, it's mana issues. Like, I don't draw any mana. And, like, you know, the argument could be made, well, if you do that in a competitive setting, that you can't do that. I understand that, but EDH, in my head, is not a competitive thing. Again, people can view it as competitive, that's fine, but that's not how I view it. And I think that the original thing with EDH was it was designed as a less competitive format. So, like, and people have turned it into it, and I honestly, like, don't want it to be. Like, I don't know if I'm making my point clear, and that, like, bums me out. I feel like I am, but I'm not sure. Because, again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, I'm just saying it for, like, I don't know, like, I think that I don't want everyone, that, like, it shouldn't be this thing where, like, if you play EDH, it has to be competitive, or it has to be casual. It can be whatever it wants to be, and that's why it's a really weird thing finding, like, play groups, I think, for EDH, compared to, like, if you walk in somewhere and you say I have a modern deck, I assume that your deck is like $500 and that it's competitive and good. Like, that's just something that you assume. With EDH, there's the levels are all over the place. And I think that's okay. I think it's just a really weird thing of finding, like, you know, what your playgroup demands. Okay, so back to mulligan rule. So basically, they changed it. So they changed it so that it goes along with the new scry rule. You draw your 7, you say, I don't like this hand, I'm gonna go to 6. I don't like this 6, I'm gonna go to 5. Okay, cool, I like this 5, I'm gonna scry. Okay, can I tell you guys how unhappy I am with this rules change? I am so upset. My playgroup that I play with here when I'm at school, we have ignored it. The people that I've talked to, they think it's dumb. I don't agree with it at all. I think that it is unnecessary, and I think that what it's trying to do is it's trying to push EDH to be more competitive. Now, again, as long as you're not taking advantage of the partial rule, like, as long as you're not being like a, man, like, I'm just gonna, you know, keep partialing my hand until I have 7 my best cards in my hand, like, if you do that, get out of here, like, no, stop. But, like, as long as you're not doing that, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with people partialing cards if they're mana screwed or whatever. It's, like, that's okay, but, like, I don't know, I think that this is their way of just making it, like, so it's a more competitive thing. And I'm just like, no, please stop. I think it's so unnecessary. I don't understand the point of it. Like, I just don't think it should be a thing. I don't think that it didn't need to change. It just didn't need to. I don't think that there was an issue. I don't understand why partials were, like, really ever an issue, except for the reason that I said of people taking advantage of it. And like I said, I think if someone's taking advantage of it, I think a very simple thing can be done of, you talk to the person, you say, hey, bro, I don't like how you're doing this. Please don't, like, hey, cool, simple. They're not following the rules in the first place if they're doing that. I mean, really. I mean, not like the rules are, like, super strict and super enforced, but I don't know. So, yeah. Those are some feelings of mine on the EDH things. Of course, I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. And what's going on, like, in your like, playgroups and stuff, and, like, how you guys do it. And I did a whole video talking all about competitive and casual EDH, so I talked about a couple of things that I talked about in this video in there. But, yeah. So, I want to keep talking. And I want to keep talking about modern stuff in this video as well. And basically, if you wanna, I did an entire video talking all about the modern ban list things, about Twin and about Amulet, and I've had a lot of conversations with people and I've talked a lot about this, so I kind of wanted to, like, talk a little bit more about it and basically what's gonna happen now to the format. And I had some really interesting conversations with people, like, about what is going to happen now because Twin is, you know, going away, and there's been a lot of speculations. A lot of people think that Kiki Court will get more popular for the combo deck. A lot of people think that, like, a deck like Goryo's Vengeance just got better, and a lot of people think that, Tron is getting better. Therefore, to beat Tron, people think that there will be a lot more burn and a lot more infect as well. And I think that okay, so talking to one of my friends, and last night I was watching, oh my gosh, I'm watching Star City Charlotte right now, which I've, like, been watching so much Magic recently, and it's been awesome because, like, I need to watch Magic, like, a lot because I need to get better at Magic. So, like, I'm watching Star City Charlotte, which is one of the most recent opens that happened, and I'm watching it, and I'm watching this green-red Tron player, I honestly don't even remember who it was, and they're playing, and they bowled to 4, and let's be real here, if you're sitting down for your first, you know, for your game, and you bowl to 4, like, you must be so, like, oh man, like, what am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna, like, get back from this? Whatever. So, the guy's playing, and he mulls to 4, and he's like, okay, like, displeasingly, like, I mean, realistically, keeping a hand of 4, probably not gonna be the super best thing, right? So he keeps his hand, and what ends up happening is he ends up winning. Like, and I'm not saying that's impossible. Like, let's be real here, like, I have a friend who is really good at Amulet, and obviously now that's kind of not really, I don't know, maybe it'll be a thing. He's trying to make it work, like, whatever, but, you know, like, before, like, the ban list, like, literally was a master of this deck, like, seriously so good at this deck, like, top 8 at IQs, like, all the time. He's going to the Pro Tour, like, he's really good at this deck. And so, like, he pilots his deck really, really well, and people were like, he's so good at that deck, like, he can mull to 5, and, like, just be, like, so good, and I was like, okay, like, there's a lot of decks that you can mull to 5 with, that you can still do, like, pretty okay with. I mean, Bloom is, like, one of those decks, like, you can just do that, and another thing, too, with Bloom, is that Bloom will fish for their answers in a lot of ways. You've got Teleria West, Ancient Stirrings, what is the other one? There's another one, Serum Visions. You have a bunch of different ways of, like, finding your answers. And that's my whole thing, too, with, like, Tron, is that, like, Tron has so many ways of digging for their answers, so even if you mull to 4, you can still win. I don't even remember what turn, but he got off, like, an Ugin on turn, like, he just drew, like, absolutely perfectly. And I mean, honestly, like, that can happen to, like, anyone, but, like, the Tron player just, like, drew, and again, fish for all their answers, and that is something that I'm noticing so much in this format, is I feel like something that's really good, that, like, some of the best decks, some of the things that they do is they dig for their answers and they draw a lot of cards. And Tron doesn't draw cards, it just, like, ignores all that, like, excess drawing stuff, because it doesn't really need to do that. It just, like, finds ways of getting what they need. And I honestly think, like, I think something needs to happen to Tron. I really do. Like, and if you've been watching my channel and you know, like, my feelings about Modern and whatever, like, I think Tron's gonna dominate a lot, and, like, you know that, like, I think that Tron is one of the best decks in the format, and, like, I think that just something, like, needs to get changed. Because this deck is so, it's consistent, it's really good. It, like, just their mana base, it's just, like, incredible. Like, and it's very, if you guys have also been paying attention to, and I think I want to do a whole video on this, I don't know, the new Eldrazi control deck. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it in this video because I think that would just get to be, like, way too much. But the Eldrazi control deck, it's kind of similar to Tron in that what it wants to do is it wants to just generate a ton of mana. It can pop out Ulamog on turn, like, 4, which is, like, really cool, but it doesn't run like the Tron lands. It runs like Eye of Ugin, which is similar in, like, both decks, and this card is just incredible. Like, it's just, their mana base, like, Tron's mana base is just fantastic. It's, like, there's so many different ways that they spend. So, like, when I had sideboard for elves, I was talking to someone, and I was running Beast Within in my sideboard, and, I was talking to someone, and they were like, you're not going to Beast Within their lands, are you? And I was like, well, I was planning on it. And they're like, why? They have so many different ways of getting what they need. Why would you do that? Like, you're going to want to Beast Within, like, their Ugin or something like that. And, I mean, of course, it totally depends on you know, what turn it is. If you, like, I guess you wouldn't Thoughtseize their hand. You wouldn't have a way of knowing, you know, what cards are in their hand. But, like, if you're about to kill them and they've got a card, you assume they have an Ugin in their hand or whatever, like, yeah, you'd probably, like, Beast Within a land. It, like, totally depends on the circumstances, but, like, I don't know. Gosh, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, Tron. I, like, totally lost what I was saying for a sec. But, yeah, like, Tron is just, like, it has so many ways of getting what they need, and I feel like in a lot of ways that other decks don't really do. Like, other decks, like my Grixis deck, draws a lot of cards, but, like, I don't dig for the things that I need. Like, I just draw cards, that's all I do. I don't really manipulate what's on top of my deck, with, like, I do that with, like, Serum Visions. And let's be real here, Serum Visions is not that great, so, like, I don't really get the chance to, like, to do that, and I mean, I guess the only way I can manipulate, like, the things that I have are, like, fetch lands, but, like, fetch lands, like, basically everyone in the format runs. Basically so many different decks in the format call for that, so, yeah, I don't know. I just, like, think that the deck is, I don't know what's gonna happen, because I think that there's gonna be, like, a lot of people who go to Tron, and I think that a lot of, the deck is just gonna get better, and especially, like, you know, it's especially really interesting, like, looking at, like, what happens in battle, and, what's the new card that people say are gonna run? Is it Kozilek's Return? That's an oath that people keep claiming is gonna be used in Modern. I don't remember. Or maybe it's Warping Whale, or maybe it's the new Kozilek, maybe it's all of them, I honestly don't know, but, like, there's a bunch of cards that, in Oath in Battle, that people, you know, that Tron has just gotten so many good things for. So, and, like, the new Ulamog, obviously the new Ulamog is just, I can't even tell you, like, I have a really, I think, difficult Tron matchup, and one of the reasons why I think my Tron matchup is so difficult is because one, because I run Inquisition, and Inquisition is very, very bad against that deck. It's very bad. Like, you can get rid of, like, an Expedition map or, like, a Sylvan Scrying, but, like, it's just, against the good percent of the deck, they come out of sideboard all the time. They're awful. And Inquisition's a good card, and a great card in so many matchups. It's awful in that matchup. Absolutely awful. 100% I take it out in sideboard all the time. So, don't remember what I was saying. But I think I was talking about Ulamog. And, one of the most devastating things about it is that Ulamog, once you cast him, gets rid of 2 permanents. And something that a control deck, and I think one of control deck's biggest weaknesses is that it doesn't have a lot of permanents. Because a lot of the stuff that we have happens at instant speed. We run a lot of instants. And a lot of matchups, that's so good. That's so good. Like Grixis has great removal. It's just so fantastic. And, like, if they're, like, exile your 2 lands, and they're on turn 4, and it hasn't even gotten to you for turn 4, and you've got, like, nothing on the board but lands, like, what do you do? Like, how do you come back from that? And then you've got Ulamog swinging at you. Like, what do you do? You probably just lose. And what's also really devastating in that deck is they can cast Ugin and get rid of your board. Like, get rid of all your creatures if, say, you're playing a creature-heavy deck, and then the next turn, they cast Ulamog and get rid of your lands. Like, you know, what do you do against that? And, like, so many people use the excuse, well, Tron spends its first couple of turns building. This deck is so hard to disrupt, let me tell you. Like, I'm running Grixis Control and so many other decks in the format. Like, I don't really know how the Tron twin matchup was. Apparently the twin matchup, like, it was good for the twin player, and you know, I can understand that, because, like, they really have no real way post-sideboard, or pre-sideboard, I guess, interacting with the twin combo. They run, like, Nature's Claim in their sideboard, especially for Blood Moon. But even a card like Blood Moon really doesn't hurt them that much, because they can, like, even a card like Stony Silence. Stony Silence is great. I like, when I was playing against my friend who runs the Mindslaver version, Stony Silence is fantastic against the Mindslaver version of Tron. It's not that good against Red-Green Tron, which is more popular anyway, because the deck is just better than Mindslaver Tron. You cut off their, like, Chromatic Star Sphere, and then they're, like, their Expedition map. But guess what they still have? They still have Ancient Stirrings, and they still have Sylvan Scrying, and they still have ways to, like, get their stuff. And, like, so that's why, like, Stony Silence is not that good. Blood Moon is kind of bad for them because it shuts off their lands, so they're, like, slower. But, like, if you don't have a quick deck, like, say you're playing, like, I don't run Blood Moon in my sideboard because I run Fulminator Mage and Crumble to Dust instead. But, like, even if you, like, cast Blood Moon in, like, my deck is so slow. Like, if I, like, turn all their things, like, say I get off a Blood Moon on, like, turn 3 or whatever, what am I realistically doing? Like, my deck doesn't have enough, like, high impact stuff where it's, like, I'm, like, consistently, like, doing like, I'm, like, consistently doing damage, but it just, like, totally depends. Like, I have a bunch of burn spells, but, like, swinging with a Snapcaster Mage only does 2 damage. I mean, like, let's be real here, it takes a while. Like, it's gonna take a bit. So, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are turning to Grixis Delver, because Delver has, like, that extra punch that I think sometimes I feel like my deck lacks, is I don't want to switch over to Grixis Delver, and I don't think I ever will, but, like, that's one of the things I think is the advantage of Grixis Delver in this. It's positioned decently well, because you cast Delver and it has that constant pressure of it being a 3/2 flyer for 1 mana. It's just pretty okay. It's really good. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, it just... I feel like what will potentially happen with the format is that, like, the meta will change a lot in terms of, like, Burn will get more attention and Infect will get a lot of attention, because the Infect... I honestly was even thinking about switching to Infect, to be completely honest. Like, I was thinking about it, and, like, when I say I'm switching decks, like, I talk about it as if I'm not happy with Grixis Control, and that hasn't happened. Like, I'm actually decently impressed with myself. Like, I'll talk a lot about that, but, like, I'm actually, like, staying with the deck, and, like, I like it. Like, I built the deck in, like, December. I think I've had the deck... I've actually had the deck for, like, a solid month now. Like, I've been playing it consistently, like, for a month. And I'm happy with it, and I like it. I'm not talking yet about, like, switching decks, where, like, this is, like, probably one of the longest times. Like, even when I had Elves, like, I think I had Elves together for, like, 2 months. But, like, about halfway through that or whatever, I was thinking about switching decks already. But I haven't had that thought yet with Grixis, which is really good for me, because I like... You know, this half a year has been interesting for me with, like, changing decks, so I'm really, like, happy about that. But, yeah, I don't know. I think, like, one of my friends and I were talking about it, and he thinks that there's going to be, like, an emergency ban for Tron because it's just going to get it out of control. But maybe, like, some of the format will combat against that, and a lot of people will switch to Infect and go to Burn, because the Burn the Burn deck just doesn't care. Like, it just, like, it's like, okay, cool. Like, and that's, like, one of the things, like, I really respect about Burn, is it actually doesn't care most of the time, like, with what the thing is doing, with what your opponent's doing. And another thing, too, is that the Primeval, the Titan matchup, the Amulet matchup, was so bad for them. Like, every time I played against Burn, I, like, basically won. Because, like, when I was playing Bloom, like, they have to double bolt your Primeval Titan. They actually can't deal with it. Like, if you're running, like the Naya version, I guess you have Path, and that's good. But, like, and I guess if you're running Hive Mind, I mean, they actually, like, I don't think they can deal with Hive Mind. I mean, I guess they can Destructive Rev the Hive Mind, that works. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, the Burn matchup is just really good for the most part. So, like, the fact that Bloom Titan's no longer there, it's kind of interesting to see, like, you know, will Burn rise up in popularity, and also because it's good against Tron. And a lot of people are just talking about how the deck is just gonna, like, get a lot of attention, and I think it will. So, because I just think, like, arguably, I think it's just, like, really good. And also, it's something I think is really, really interesting, too, is that Affinity, probably, like, 100%, actually, no, I lied, 100% the top, aggro deck right now is so good, and it's so good also because it's good against Tron. Oh, so good against Tron. Like, again, part of the reason why I was even considering, like, switching to Affinity. I just realized, because Ugin is so useless. What does Ugin get rid of? The Vault Scourge? That's cute. Part of me is, like, really thinking about it. Like, I am thinking about, like, I may proxy up Affinity, I'm not really sure. And like I said, it's not, like, because I'm unhappy with Grixis or anything. It's just because, like, you know, sometimes I'm like, I just want, like, a change of pace or whatever. I do want to play Goryo's Vengeance at some point. Like, one of my friends has it, and he runs a really... Actually, is it the more traditional build? I don't remember if his build is more traditional. I don't remember. I have one friend who runs the sweetest version of Goryo's Vengeance ever. It runs Narset. It's the coolest thing ever. You're like, Goryo's Vengeance, you're like Faithful Saluting, whatever, you're like, put Narset into your graveyard. Goryo's Vengeance, get back Narset, you know, you cast Narset, you play Narset, whatever, and then you, like, she attacks, she's got haste, exile top 4, you play, like, Omniscience, and then you just basically win the game. It's, like, the coolest thing ever. And I want to do it, but it's not that consistent. The other one's more consistent, like the Grizzlebrand one. But, like, part of me just wants to cast Emrakul. Like, that sounds like a really good time. I don't know. We'll see. But, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, for the moment, I'm sticking with Grixis. So, this video was all over the place. I'm really, really sorry if you wanted this video to be focused, because it wasn't. I just, like, talked about, like, this was, like, me talking all about everything that I was on my mind magic related. Good news. I am basically done with my Omnath deck in terms of I have cards ordered for it. And, like, when I say done, I mean, like, I mean, like, I'll, like, still edit the deck, of course, but, like, I'm gonna have cards for it and I can start playing with it finally. I'm really excited for that, and then also I got the rest of the cards that I needed for my Yisan EDH deck, and I built Yisan a while ago, and the reason why I put it aside is because I didn't have all the cards that I needed for it. Like, I finished the deck, but then I wasn't happy with it. I was happy with, like, a lot of it, but I was playing it last night, and it's so fun. Like, I love the deck. It's so great. So, like, I want to, like, I'll have two EDH decks new to me. Like, I'll have the tweaks for Yisan, which will be super great, and I'm really looking forward to, like, basically playing around with, like, a new deck. What is this magic card, and why is it here? What is this doing here? I think it's meant to be there. I don't know why that card was in the wrong spot. There's, like, magic cards everywhere. I, like, organized all my magic cards last night because everything was, like, everywhere, and I got a fat pack, and I was totally gonna film, but I don't have a good filming setup at the moment for opening stuff, but I got, like, a bunch of, like, full arts, and right now, this is really interesting to me, but I have a bunch of swamps and islands and mountains, and I used up all of my plains, and I have finally full arted. Tasigur, my EDH deck, Tasigur is full arted. My modern deck is full arted, of course. Angels are full arted, which I need to do a deck tech on that. I really need to do that. I'll do that at some point. The deck still needs, like, tweaking. I need to edit it. I need to get, like, more planes. I need to get Elspeth for that deck. Like, more Elspeths, because that cards are Elspeth's awesome. I need to get it for Super Friends too. She's like, actually no, I don't think I have Elspeth Sun's Champion for Super Friends. That's another deck. That's like my long-term project is Super Friends EDH. It's like, every time I look at it, I'm like, this deck's beautiful. It's like all the Planeswalkers, like, they look so good together. But yeah, so like, I full arted decks last night. So I have like, and then Yisan I'm working on full arting, and then at some point I'll full art Omnath, and then Super Friends will get there at some point, so. Yeah, I got a fat pack. I don't think I got anything of value, except for, on Friday, I got a full art foil mountain, and then when I opened up the fat pack, I got a full art foil forest, which is super cool. And those are like $8. That's like really awesome. So, I don't think I opened up anything of value. I don't really know what prices are. I know like Kozilek's Return is like $20, and like that's the big thing. Oh, I opened up a Chandra on Friday night. That was really cool. I traded for like, I got rid of something else, and then I got a promo Den Protector, which was really, really cool. I really wanted it. I actually thought that I was getting it for Yisan, but then I realized that it doesn't work well in Yisan at all, so I got it for Tasigur, and it's gonna be like my only morph in the deck, so everyone's gonna know that it's a Den Protector, but like, that card is like so good, because it's like, it's a dude, and then it's got like the cool ETB effect. It's just like the coolest thing ever. It's like Eternal Witness, and I love it. I'm just, oh, Den Protector, that card is so great. I think I played with Den Protector at a cube. I think it's in a cube. Yeah, it's in a cube that my friend and I made, and that's really cool. I really want to make a pauper cube at some point. I accidentally like got rid of my commons and uncommons without realizing that I actually wanted to keep some of them around to build my cube, and then I forgot. So I gotta start like looking through and like pulling out cards aside, setting them aside for my cube, because I want to do a pauper cube at some point. I think it'd be like really, really awesome. I want to do it like on my own invention though. I don't want to like look up like, you know, other people's pauper cubes. I just like don't want to do that. So yeah, I'll probably start like, you know, pulling out cards, because I have a bunch of cards now from Uth, from like playing at 2 pre-releases. I'm really not too crazy about drafting about the set, by the way. I really wasn't crazy about Battle for Zendikar either. I really want Innistrad. Like, I really want Innistrad. I actually think I may start playing Standard. Doesn't that sound awful? I don't really like how I say that statement, and I'm like, you know what it is? It's because, like, I kind of just want to go to, like, other tournaments, but then part of me is, like, money. I don't really know if I want to pour money into Standard. I feel like, because here's the thing, it's like, I'm at this point, though, in Magic, where, like, I have now these 2 new EDH decks. Like, the only cards that I can think to acquire at this moment are, like, Planeswalkers for Super Friends, and that's actually all I can think of. So, like, I'm at this point where people, like, trade with me, and I'm like, I don't need anything. Like, I actually don't need anything. So part of me is like, I think I'm gonna throw more stuff on Puka Trade, because, like, I just can't think of anything. Like, I have my Modern deck, and it's my baby, and, like, that's awesome, and now I'm like, I have these 2 new EDH decks, like, I don't have anything else that I really need card-wise, so, like, I'm just at this point where I'm like, eh. And, like, I think I'm gonna proxy up Legacy, so that's gonna be interesting. Legacy Storm. It's funny, I was talking to one of my friends, and he's like, proxy or real deck? And I was like, Storm is real. Storm is great. I think it's really awesome. I don't, like, I actually really don't know anything about Legacy. I played it once. It was an adventure. I played Burn. It was, like, really crazy. And I didn't know what I was doing at all. I was like, people are like, you just burn their face. And I'm like, no, it's, you actually have to do other things. Like, you have to, it's not super, super easy. Like, you know, super easy as, like, other people say. So, you know, yeah. But, yeah. So, alright guys, this was 100% all over the place. If you stuck through to this, to the end, you're awesome. If you didn't, hey, that's really cool. You wouldn't hear this if you didn't stick through to the end. But I'm gonna leave. I was in a really talkative mood. I, like, don't know why. I'm in a really good mood and I wanted to talk, and yeah, I like hearing myself talk, like, so yeah, I've been ranting, like, for a very long time. But, you guys are awesome. You're a beautiful jellyfish. If you want to leave me comments, that would be awesome. They make me really happy. So, okay, bye.